Let's get more now with our SABC News reporter, Canny Maphanga, who joins us from the Commission in Pretoria. Canny, what exactly happened with Suliman Carrim today, and what has the Commission decided?
Well, good afternoon to you, Madlanga, and to the viewers at home. We might have had an early adjournment today at the Madlanga Commission, but day 159 was quite eventful, as we've seen a first coming from the Madlanga Commission, where they are set to lay criminal charges against a witness, that is Northwest businessman Suliman Carrim, for his failure to appear yet again before the probe as per his subpoena that was set to today, Friday the 14th of August. The only condition upon which he was excused, or would be excused, from the Madlanga Commission's hearings today is if he subjected himself to an independent medical examination. We do understand that there were certain deadlines that he was set to meet from the 3rd of August, and the evidence leaders had some trouble there. But 2 days ago, the evidence leaders received the same treating doctor's extensive medical report, but it was signed off as highly confidential and could not be distributed to other parties. So I'm not sure what they could do with such a report to test it in terms of the kind of circumstances that Suliman Carrim faces, as he charges that his health challenges persist to the extent that he's not able to come to the Madlanga Commission and testify. Now, because of this failure to meet the conditions set as per that 29 July ruling by the Chairperson of the Madlanga Commission, that is retired Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, it seems that the evidence leaders have thrown in the towel in terms of getting this particular witness before the witness box. I think they've accepted at this stage that this is not going to happen. However, due to the need to protect the integrity of the processes of the Madlanga Commission, the evidence leaders called for extra steps to be taken against Suliman Carrim, which includes referring the matter to the relevant authorities to be investigated. And that's how it leads the Commission to this ruling that was made this afternoon, which is the first for the Madlanga Commission to resolve that they're going to lay criminal charges against a witness, that is Suliman Carrim, for their failure to appear before the Madlanga Commission for numerous instances in which they were required to come here and supply additional information with respect to different aspects that the Commission was interested in. However, it seems that while that chapter has closed for Suliman Carrim and he will escape the accountability box behind me here at the Madlanga Commission, the legal troubles are set to continue as the Commission's chairperson, or rather the Commission's secretary, Dr. Nolita Vuguza, is set to open or lay those criminal charges against Suliman Carrim for breaches of the Commissions Act.
Canny, why has the independent medical assessment become such an important issue in these proceedings?
Absolutely. What took place with respect to Suliman Carrim, that in the initial stages you saw that the Commission had no issue with his medical reports. What then changed the circumstances surrounding his treating doctor is not about the credibility of this treating doctor, but because of the fact that there was a pattern that was emerging in terms of the previous appearance, where they would lay different facts to this doctor and they would receive additional information that basically meets the new facts that they are confronted with. So, for example, where Suliman Carrim was captured on CCTV footage in that Western Cape shopping complex, where he was seen with a huge entourage there, going into a Woolies and a Kauai, and basically enjoying his day, going on an excursion, as the Commission puts it. However, it seems that the report then changed of the treating doctor to accommodate that additional information. And because of that, the Commission held the view that they couldn't only trust that particular view and needed an independent assessment in order to ascertain whether or not Suliman Carrim is so sick, or rather the health challenges persist to the extent that he actually can't come before the witness box. Now, this was a voluntary exercise. They couldn't compel him to do it legally in terms of that particular requirement, but it was set as a condition in the 29th of July ruling, and of course he wasn't able to meet that condition and instead provided an additional report by the very same treating doctor that is quite extensive and would need to be checked in 2 days, or rather even more than 2 days, as Advocate Adila Hassim put it. And it seems that the Commission's evidence leaders reached a point that as we draw closer to that evidence deadline of the 2nd of October, that seemingly it looked like they were going to throw in the towel with respect to Suliman Carrim, close that chapter, but not without protecting the integrity of the Commission's processes by asking for that particular remedy to be given to Suliman Carrim, or rather to be ordered against him. And that is where you saw the Commission then deliver that ruling in line of the 29th of July conditions, that if he failed to provide that independent medical examination report, then of course those consequences would follow. And one of those consequences included the laying of criminal charges, and that is what is set to follow in the next few days or weeks, as the Commission's Secretary has been tasked with that particular move, or setting that criminal process in motion, as per the ruling issued out earlier this morning.
So, Kenny, we've spoken about what the decision means and this pursuance of criminal charges against Carrim. Let's turn to Drusanta Ramsami now. What are the key issues emerging from her evidence today?
Well, absolutely. Drusanta Ramsami has effectively completed her evidence before the Madlanga Commission. She was just laying out some additional events that took place that were worrying to her, as well as how she eventually got out of the crime intelligence matters. It seems that the Mukwele matter is something that they held the view that there was no prima facie case in it. And in the emails, we see that the former IDAC head, Advocate Andrea Johnson, at one point does agree that there actually was no prima facie case, but that was short-lived because a meeting would follow where she would change her position. And then that is according to the testimony of Ramsami, and in fact allegedly intensify the alleged attack against General Masemola. Further disturbing evidence was laid out by Ramsami, who testifies before the probe that there were additional issues laid out in order to allegedly target the top cop, that is General Canny Maphanga, and that includes a link to alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Matlala, or trying to draw such a link by trying to get the devices of Matlala imaged and to try and find not only a link to Masemola as well as his daughter. And Ramsami says that at that point she realized that there were serious alleged illegalities surrounding the manner in which they were approaching these particular cases. It's quite important to note that when Advocate Johnson is alleged to have intensified this alleged attack on these high-ranking generals, it was after the 6th of July media briefing, because we do know that a meeting took place on the 8th of July. And Ramsami testifies that there seems to have been a desperation or determination to ensure that these high-ranking generals were charged. And at that point, she allegedly had some form of paranoia, as it seems that, according to Ramsami, Major General Khan of Crime Intelligence was allegedly in Advocate Andrea Johnson's ears, saying that something big was going to happen. And that is how this subsequent alleged attack was intensified, according to Ramsami, in that July meeting. And that is when she took the decision, for safety issues, to remove herself from this matter, and cited such to Advocate Andrea Johnson, because it seemed that the cases that IDAC was looking into were no longer about the pursuit of justice, but seemingly they were deep now into those alleged SABC factional battles, and now pure illegalities were allegedly being pursued in order to target not only now General Canny Maphanga and Lieutenant General Dumsani Khumalo, but it seems that the alleged plot was now going to turn to the daughter of General Canny Maphanga, and they were going to allegedly try to use the imaging of the devices of alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Matlala to do so, using an alleged backdated authorization, after it was flagged by Ramsami that the initial one in her name was actually not a document that she had signed, so it was allegedly manufactured. A lot of this evidence, again, not reflecting well on IDAC, but still, Ramsami still holds the view that there were only a few rotten apples in IDAC, and that this institution was severely compromised by these alleged investigators, that is allegedly Pariachi and Peramol, as well as Belichin, with the alleged assistance of former IDAC head advocate Andrea Johnson. And Ramsami still charges before the probe that there are still a number of good prosecutors and investigators within IDAC that are still committed to the pursuit of true justice, and these events should not take away from that. We'll continue to connect the dots on some of the revelations that were made this week that flow also from Fadil Adams, also the testimony of the IPID in KZN that looks into extrajudicial killings, as well as this new evidence emerging about IDAC in terms of how they allegedly plotted to allegedly intensify their attack on General Fani Masemola on Sunday at 4 p.m. as we connect the dots. It's over to you in studio.